Happy Saturday morning yoga, everybody. My name is Michelle Chua, and today you will want to grab a strap or something like it. Let's begin in a grounding position, child's pose, with your feet together towards the rear of your mat, knees together or very wide apart. Find the space between your knees that allows you to drop your pelvis back onto your feet. Bring length in through the sides of your torso. Let your head rest on a block if it doesn't easily meet the ground. And perhaps you close your eyes. Drop your body into stillness. From the sounds and movements around you and your external environment, direct your attention more inward. Any part of your body calling your attention right now? Any feeling, sensation, or emotion needing to be acknowledged? As you've committed to show up today, let's dedicate this hour towards something that is meaningful to you, perhaps setting your own intention for your practice. Taking deeper breaths. Hear the sound of your exhales as you open your mouth. Then place your hands on the ground alongside your knees. Tuck your chin towards your chest. And with an inhalation, slowly roll your spine upright into a comfortable seat. So if you'll remember a few months ago in our Zoom yoga classes, we broke down the 8 limbs of yoga. And in the first limb, there was the practice of ahimsa, which means nonviolence, both to oneself and to the world around us. And in the second limb, there is the practice of svadhyaya, which means self-study. It's a spiritual practice of cultivating awareness of our minds and our inner states of being. So in light of those practices, I wanted to share a little bit of Jack Kornfield and Joseph Goldenstein's teachings in Seeking the Heart of Wisdom, where they talk about the meaning of karma as simplified as basically the law of cause and effect. But then they point out that it's essential to see how the motivation or intention preceding any of our actions determines the future karmic result of that action. Not only how it affects us in our lives, but how it ripples onto others, even not directly, but in the long term. I want to highlight the practice of speech as one of those actions and how we can become more aware of what we say. Today is our last book club meeting for the book Nonviolent Communication. Highly recommend this book. And it's so much about learning true empathy and using that as the basis for conflict resolution or just understanding each other and communicating in a non-violent, peaceful way. And it's interesting as I read this book how I saw my own habits and how they could be contributing to so-called violence or suffering in myself and others. Like, listen to these. He talks about common behaviors that prevent us from being sufficiently present to connect with another being empathetically, genuinely with empathy. Like when somebody is sharing their issue or conflict or problem with you, sometimes we might react by advising, saying things like, oh, I think you should, how come you didn't? Or one-upping, oh, that's nothing, wait till you hear what happened to me. Or educating, oh, this could turn into a very positive experience for you if you just. Or consoling, it wasn't your fault, you did the best you could. Or storytelling, that reminds me of the time. Or shutting down, cheer up, don't feel so bad. Or sympathizing, oh, you poor thing. Or interrogating, when did this begin? Or explaining, I would have called, but. Or correcting, that's not how it happened. Sometimes another being is sharing their grief or tragedy with you just to feel that somebody is with them. able to connect in that same feeling too. And sometimes all we need to do is listen. Going back to Jack Kornfield's teachings on speech, he says that it's one area in which karma can be seen in an easy and direct way. He invites us to a practice of several days, actually, of noticing the intentions that motivate our speech, directing our attention to the state of mind that precedes talking, the motivation for our comments, responses, and observations. He says to be particularly aware of whether your speech is even subtly motivated by boredom, concern, irritation, loneliness, compassion, fear, love, competitiveness, greed, or whatever state you might observe. Be aware too, he says, of the general mood or state of your heart and mind and how they may be influencing your speech. Try to observe without any judgment or program of what you should see. Simply notice the various motivations in the mind and the speech that flows from them, the cause and effect. He says to notice the effect of the speech. If there's competitiveness or grasping or pride or irritation behind the speech, what response does it elicit from the world around you? If there is compassion or love, what is the response? If your speech is mindless, as if you were on an automatic pilot, what is the response? If there's clarity and concern, how is this received and responded to? So ultimately, the bottom line, he says, with the law of karma, we have a choice. In each new moment of what response our heart and mind will bring to the situation around us. In discovering the power of our inner states to determine our outer conditions, we are able to follow a path that can lead to genuine happiness and freedom. So how does that apply to physical yoga postures and breathing? So much about intention and looking at the effect from the motivation behind our practice, even in opening our bodies. So I invite you to practice ahimsa, nonviolence, and svadhyaya, self-study, within this hour, so that perhaps you can continue those exercises outside of this hour, where it's most relevant to us and those people around us. So now as you sit tall, letting your hands rest onto your stomach, begin to deepen your breath there. As you close your lips, inhaling and exhaling into your belly, focus on breathing out and drawing your belly inward towards your spine. A shorter inhalation and a stronger exhalation where the belly draws in and contracts. Now notice your upper body as you do this. Relax the shoulders, slightly behind your ears and down. Lift through the crown of your head. Feel spaciousness throughout your spine. Now we're going to quicken this breath into Kapalabhati Pranayama, stoking the digestive fire and heat in the navel center. Short, quick breaths. Sounds like you're blowing your nose quickly like this. Feeling the pulsation of the belly inward each time you breathe out. Maybe you try a few times and then relax and then restart again. Now you could continue with your hands in your belly, especially if this breath practice is new to you, or add on a kriya. In Kundalini Yoga, it's called Ego Eradicator, where you raise your arms at 60-degree angles straight, thumbs up towards the ceiling, other fingers curled in, to feel an active stretch between your thumb and index fingers. All the while closing your eyes, steadying your gaze at the center of your forehead, just between the eyebrows above. Now continuing Kapalabhati. I'll watch the clock for just another 50 seconds. building heat in the belly, staying cool in the mind. Last 10 seconds. Pause, take a deep breath in. And as you hold your breath, lift your pelvic floor, engage lower belly in and up. Exhale slowly through your lips and bring your thumbs together to touch overhead if your arms are up. Then release your palms face down out to your sides and onto your lap. Pausing a moment to just observe the effects of those actions. What motivates you in your yoga practice today? Keeping your intention clear as you observe the effects of it in your actions. Start to deepen your breath again through the nose, softly constricting the back of your throat to invite a soft whisper as you breathe in and out evenly. Now using Ujjayi Pranayama, victorious breath. Please look for your strap or your rope, and let's come up to stand at the very top of your mat, separating your feet a little wider than hips distance apart. We're gonna warm up the shoulders. So hands apart, holding the strap pretty tightly, not loose like this. And have your strap just in front of your thighs. If your shoulders are feeling pretty tight today, you might separate your hands even wider apart. Now as you stand tall, front ribs softening inward towards the back body, shoulders releasing down away from the neck. Listen to your breath, and on your next inhale, raise your arms overhead. As you exhale, lower your arms behind you and all the way down. Inhale your arms up again. Exhale, forward and down. Now keep going in a very mindful, sustained breathing. Keeping your shoulders down even as you raise your arms, and if that's an obstacle, try separating your hands wider apart on the strap, keeping your elbows straight. But if you feel the opposite, that your shoulders could use a little more depth in the stretch, bring your hands closer together. Let's take 3 to 5 more cycles of breath. Feel the posture of your mountain pose at the same time, how you ground firmly through the 4 corners of each foot. How the belly softly engages as you broaden your chest and lift up through the back of your skull. Now finish this last cycle of breath. Then release the strap down, arms by your sides, palms face forward in Tadasana. Samastitihi, which means equal standing pose. On your next inhale, raise your arms overhead, interlacing your fingers inside out. Exhale, lift the sides of your torso and lean to your right for side stretch. Pausing here a couple more breaths. Keep softening the shoulders downward away from your neck. Firm down through your left foot and firm your belly inward towards your spine. One last breath, press the heels of your palms towards the right wall of your room. On an inhale, rise back to center and switch the interlacing of thumb and index on top. Palms facing the sky, shoulders softening down. Breathe in and stand taller. Exhale to your left, side bend, and continue for a few more breaths. Counterbalance by grounding firmly to your right foot. Shoulders relaxed, belly in. On your next inhale, rise up to center and open your arms as you exhale. Bend your knees to fold forward. Press your fingertips on the ground ahead of your legs. And inhale, lift your chest, firm your belly. Lower your fingertips outside of your heels, and exhale, step your left knee to the ground behind you. Press down to your right foot and inhale, sweep your arms up and overhead. Now you might want to grab a strap for this shoulder stretch, holding it in your left hand and dangling the tail behind your back as you raise your left arm. Rotate your left tricep forward, press the shoulder down, then bend your left elbow as you land your left palm between your shoulder blades. Reach your right hand underneath, grab the other end of the strap or your shirt with both hands, and walk your hands as close together as you can. Maybe they clasp. Imagine as though you're scissoring your legs without visibly moving them to feel stability, connection to the ground. Then lift up through your pelvic floor, your chest. Release down through your shoulder blades and tailbone. About 3 more deep breaths. Lifting your heart center. Gently gaze up. Now on your next inhale, raise your left arm towards the sky. Look down and see that your right heel is directly under your right knee. Use your right thumb to hook your right hip crease down, and keeping your legs stable, breathe in and stretch your spine forward for a twist. Exhale, turn your chest to the right, either lowering the left hand to the ground or block directly under the shoulder, raising the right arm up, or going further and hooking your left elbow outside your right thigh, arms wide open, or hands together in prayer. As you breathe in, feel stability through your legs again. Stretch your spine forward. Soften your shoulders down your back. As you breathe out, hollow your belly rather than leaning it against your right thigh, and continue to rotate your rib cage, twisting at your waist. 3 more deep breaths. Now looking at your right foot, lower your 2 hands to frame it, perhaps using blocks under your hands if needed. Straighten your right leg by plugging the thigh bone back into the hip socket. Flex your right toes off the ground, and inhale, broaden your chest forward. Equally lengthen both sides of your torso and neck. Exhale, firm your belly against your spine as you fold. Little by little, as you inhale, lengthen the spine some more. As you exhale, perhaps fold a little deeper. Honoring the natural space at your throat. One more breath here in Ardha Hanumanasana, half split. Now rebend your right knee, set your hands flat on the floor, and step into your version of plank pose, top of a push-up. As we allow 3 breaths here, stack your shoulders over your wrists, either straighten your legs or lower your knees for added support. Keep your belly lifted, and on an exhale, glide forward, bend your elbows back to hug your side ribs, then slowly try to lower chest and belly at the same time. Point your toes to the tops of your feet, press into the mat, pelvis stays on the floor, and inhale, broaden and gently lift your chest, looking on the ground ahead, Cobra pose. Press your hands down and lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Now for the first Adho Mukha Svanasana, give yourself about 5 breaths if you want to explore movement of any kind, or to right away be still. As you firm down through fingers spread, with an inhale, raise your left leg behind you. As you exhale, bend your left knee and turn open at the hip. Inhaling, draw your right hip further back. And as you exhale, softly land your left foot outside of your left hand, coming into lizard lunge. So with 2 hands inside of your left leg, you can decide whether to keep your right knee lifted or to lower it onto the floor. The latter if your shoulders need more space to relax away from your neck. Remember, you could also use the platform of your blocks to create that space in the neck. Now ensure that your left knee is not overbending past the heel, but it's directly on top of the ankle. Flexing your left foot, splay your left thigh open so that you just lean on the outer edge of your foot without collapsing onto your ankle. And for about 4 more breaths, if your left hip is willing to add more depth in the sensation, come down lower onto your forearms, with or without your blocks. Feel your heart space broaden and slightly lift forward. as your shoulders soften and descend down your back. Allow your left outer hip to scissor back in an effort to keep your hips as evenly facing forward as possible. Feel the broadening space across your sacrum, perhaps breathing into, through your mind's eye, your lower back. Let's take one more full breath here in lizard lunge. Then set your left foot flat on the earth, look forward, come onto your fingertips. With an exhalation, step your right foot at the top of your mat and fold, Uttanasana. Press the ground or your legs and inhale, lift your chest, firm the belly in. Exhale, fold in. Firm down to your feet, inhale, sweep your arms, let your palms meet towards the sky, look up. Exhale, bring that into your heart space. Second side, inhale, raise your arms, palms meet in Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, bow towards the earth in Uttanasana. Inhale, rise halfway in Ardha Uttanasana. Lowering your fingertips, exhale, step your right knee to the ground, legs hips width apart. Firm down to your left foot, inhale, sweep your arms overhead. Now you might want to grab your strap here to offer support for your right shoulder. Holding the strap in your right hand, dangle the tail behind your back. Rotate your right tricep slightly forward and press the shoulder down. As you bend your right elbow, land the palm just between your shoulder blades, then reach your left hand underneath and grab the other end of your strap or your shirt with both hands. Walking your hands as close together as you can, you might release the strap if you're able to clasp your fingers. Now feel the energy of your legs creating stability, rooting down by energetically scissoring the legs. Then lifting up through your pelvic floor, each vertebra and your crown. Broadening your chest with your breath, lift your heart space and melt your shoulders down. 3 more breaths here in this version of Anjaneyasana. As you softly gaze up, feel the relaxation in your face, in your eyes, on your forehead. And then very gently rise up, reach your right arm to the sky, plug your left thumb on the outer crease of your left hip. See that your left heel is directly under your left knee. As you breathe in, stabilize your hips and legs and stretch your spine diagonally. As you breathe out, rotate your chest to the left and either lower your right hand to the floor, block, or hook your right elbow outside of your left thigh, furthering the twist. Arms open or hands in prayer. Breathe in, root into the ground, and allow space throughout your spine. Breathe out, hollow your belly, and continue to venture deeper into the space, the twist. Knowing the intention, even for the subtle actions of deepening a posture, feel into the effects of that intention and action. One last breath here. Looking down at your left foot, lower your hands to frame it, perhaps using blocks if that makes it more accessible. Straighten your left leg by plugging the thigh bone back into the hip socket. Flex your left foot so the toes are off the ground. As you breathe in, broaden your chest forward, a slight lift at your sternum. As you breathe out, hinge from your hips, a slight lift at your belly. Little by little, graduate into the depth of this forward fold that facilitates deep conscious breathing, length and spaciousness in the spine, and most importantly, your awareness. Let's take one last breath in half split, Ardha Hanumanasana. Rebending your left knee, place your hands flat on the ground, entering plank pose of your choice. Pause again for 3 breaths. feeling a straight, energetic line from the crown of your head, down your spine, tailbone, and if your legs are straight, down to your heels. Feel a slight lift in your abdomen as you gaze on the ground ahead. With an exhalation, slow and controlled movement, glide forward, keep your arms parallel as you bend the elbows back. Lower halfway if you're gonna opt to come into upward dog, otherwise lower all the way down. And with an in-breath, broaden your chest up. Activate your legs. Tuck your toes, lift your belly, downward facing dog. This time, hold still, steady your gaze halfway towards your feet on the ground. Broaden the tops of your shoulders by rotating your triceps towards the earth. Lift your sitting bones as high as you can, perhaps bending the knees, and firm the fronts of your thigh bones back. 2 more breaths. As you firm down through your hands, inhale, raise your right leg behind you. As you exhale, bend your right knee and turn open at your hip. Inhale, draw your left hip further back. Exhale, slowly step your right foot forward outside of your right hand, lizard lunge. Whether you keep your back knee lifted, more active, or lower your back knee for more support, offer a natural space in your neck. Flexing your right foot, splay open your right thigh, and lean just on the outer edge of your foot without rolling onto your ankle. If your right hip is willing to add depth in this pose, come down lower onto your forearms. Feel your breath encourage broadening your collarbones, slightly lifting your chest. Feel your exhalation ease you into the depth of this posture that's just the right balance for you. Trusting the wisdom of your own body to always guide you to the extent that's necessary in a pose. Feel your lower back broaden as your right hip scissors back, allowing one more deep breath here. And as you set your hands on the ground, step your right foot flat on the earth, look forward, inhale. As you exhale, step your left foot forward to fold at the top of your mat. Breathe in to rise halfway up, lengthening your chest. Exhale to fold in. From down through your feet, inhale, circle your arms to rise all the way up. Palms meet. Exhale, your hands together at your heart. Surya Namaskar, continuous flow. Inhale, raise your arms, look up. Exhale, bow forward to fold. Inhale, lengthen forward. Step to plank or lightly jump to Chaturanga Dandasana. As you breathe in, lift your chest, cobra or upward facing dog. As you breathe out, lift your hips, downward facing dog. 3 more breaths. Bend your knees, look beyond your hands. At the end of your lightly float to the top of your mat, walk or jump. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale to gather at your heart one more time. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Flowing to your breath. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, lengthen forward. As you breathe out, walk or float into Chaturanga. Breathe in to lift your heart space. Breathe out to downward dog. Now in downward facing dog, keeping your hips leveled, lift from your inner thigh. Inhale, raise your right leg back. As you exhale, bend your right knee towards your nose, rounding forward into plank pose. Then lightly step your right foot just inside of your right hand and spin your back heel to the earth, warrior 1. As you face forward, rise up. So as your 2 hips are evenly facing the front of your mat, make sure that your back heel is completely grounded. So if it requires it, you could step your left foot forward a bit to shorten your stance. As you ground your left outer heel, bring your attention to your inner left thigh. Spiral it slightly towards the wall behind you, causing your left outer hip to turn forward. As you bend your right knee just over the heel, feel the quadricep engage as you plug your right thigh bone back. Slightly lift your frontal hip bones and lengthen up through the center of your spine. Now, backstroking your arms, reach your hands behind you to clasp. Bend your elbows closer together and inhale, lift your chest. Stay here or add the balance challenge of bowing forward into humble warrior, resting on your right thigh or on the inside of your right ankle. Continue to ground your left heel and scissor your right hip back. And if you're bowing, let your head release. Float the shoulders away from it as you reach your arms forward. 2 more breaths. Firming down through your feet, inhale, rise up if you're bowing. Join your hands together at your heart and slide your right foot 2 or 3 inches to the left, still facing forward, to align your right heel to the arch of your left foot. As your left leg continues to slightly roll inward, feel a complete turn out of your right leg as you wrap the sitting bone under your body. Open your arms wide so your chest faces your left wall, and steady your gaze just past your right hand a few breaths. Let your body be still as you make any needed adjustments internally. Now straightening your right leg. Prepare for triangle pose. You might like to shorten your stance a couple inches for stability. Keep firming the front muscle of your thighs and slide your pelvis sideways towards the rear edge of your mat. Reach your right hand forward and lower it onto your leg or just to the right side of your leg, perhaps on a block. As you rotate your right sitting bone still under your, find length through the right side of your torso, length through the sides of your neck. Find a little twist as you turn your chest and maybe your eyes to look up towards your left thumb. Last 3 breaths. Can you lighten the weight of your right hand through the muscles in your legs and the support of your torso? Rotating your left, try to face your left wall. Your left arm overhead. Draw your shoulders down your back. Hug in your front ribs and continue to turn your chest slightly towards the sky. For an added core strengthening, micro bend your right knee if you're opting for it. Parallel your right arm to the left as though you're holding a beach ball overhead. Last 3 breaths, keep drawing your hips back. From down to your feet, inhale, rise into warrior 2 again, re-bending your right knee. Keep the knee bent and flip your right palm to face up and sweep it overhead towards your rear wall. An exalted or peaceful warrior. You might add opening the front of your left shoulder where you wrap the left arm behind your back, maybe reaching for the top of your right thigh. Breathe in. Ease the breath out. From here, rise up to stand. Keep the wide stance and pivot your feet both to face the left wide width of your mat. Paralleling your feet, bring your hands to your hips. Roll your shoulders back as you breathe in. Exhale, fold as you breathe out. Now lower your fingertips on blocks of the floor, allowing your spine to parallel the floor. Set your left hand front and center. Raise your right arm to the sky. Keep your 2 hips leveled. And twisting at your waist, turn to face the front of your mat. Just your chest and head. Breathe in, keep stretching your spine forward. from your pelvis. Breathe out, steady your pelvis, and keep opening your chest. Feel the reach up your right hand. 2 more breaths. On an exhale, lower your 2 hands and walk them to face the front of your mat in a lunge. Step back to downward facing dog. Breathe in, breathe out. Keeping your hips leveled, inhale, raise your left leg behind you. Exhale, slowly contract your belly to round forward and plank. Very softly landing your left foot just inside of your left hand. Lower your right heel with your feet both hips width apart, your hips facing forward, root through your legs to rise up. Virabhadrasana 1. Now feel your right outer heel completely firming against the ground as you fully straighten your right leg. Spin your inner right thigh slightly to face the wall behind you, allowing your right outer hip to turn more to face forward. As you do that, bend your left knee right on top of the ankle, plugging the thigh bone deeper into the hip socket as you firm the front muscle of your left thigh. Lift your frontal hip bones, and as the tailbone descends, lift up your vertebra and your crown. Now with ease in your breath, backstroke your arms and switch the interlacing of your thumb and clasping your hands, breathe in and coil your chest up. Stay here or add bowing forward, resting on your left thigh or lowering your head on the inside of your left ankle. Continue to draw your right heel into the ground and scissor your left hip back. Let your head release if you're bowing. Lift your shoulders up away from it, arms reaching forward. Last 2 breaths. Humble or devotional warrior. Coming down to your feet, inhale to slowly rise up. Join your hands at your heart and slide your left foot 2 or 3 inches to the right, aligning that heel to the arch of your right foot. Open your chest to face your right wall as you open your arms. Warrior 2. As your right leg continues to turn slightly inward, feel your left outer hip roll under your body for the complete turnout of your left leg facing forward. Relaxing your shoulders. Listen to your breath. Straighten your left leg to prepare for triangle. You might shorten your stance 2 or 3 inches. Firm the front muscles of your thighs. Slide your hips sideways towards the rear edge of your mat and reach your left hand forward then down onto your leg or just to the left of it, perhaps on a block. Keep rolling your left outer hip under your body as you draw that hip back. Lengthen the left side of your torso. Feel the reach up to your right hand. See if you can lighten the weight of your left. Spinning your chest slightly to face the sky. Another 3 deep breaths. Now rotating your right tricep to face your right wall, sweep your right arm overhead, but keep releasing the shoulders away from your neck. With more weight on your feet, you might add the core engagement of micro-bending the left knee as you raise the left arm parallel to the right. Turning your chest slightly towards the sky for 3 more breaths. Then rebend your left knee, lift your torso back to warrior 2. Flip your left palm to face up and lean towards your rib wall in peaceful warrior. You might add open in the front of your right shoulder where you wrap the right arm behind your back, perhaps catching hold of your left thigh. Then firm down to your feet to rise up. Keep this wide stance and pivot both feet to face the right wide width of your mat. A wide stance. Bring your hands to your hips. Inhale, roll your shoulders back. Exhale, hinge from your hips and lower your fingertips on the ground or blocks. Parallel your spine to the floor as you lengthen forward. Place your right hand on the ground or block front and center as you raise your left arm to twist. Hips even, as though you could balance a book across your lower back. Turning your chest, feel the reach up to your left hand. Just a couple of breaths. Now with an exhale, lower your left hand to the floor. Let's explore this forward fold a little further. Breathe in and press your heart through the gates of your arms. Keep that space in your neck. Then exhale, walk your hands back if possible. Keeping your fingertips facing forward so that your arms begin to bend just like Chaturanga Dandasana when you lower from plank. Perhaps you're able to lower the top of your head onto the earth, maintaining the natural curve and space in your neck. Know that you can bend your knees any amount. Maybe you're able to create a triangular base out of your two hands in the crown of your head, in which your upper arms act like shelves. And if so, you have no neck injuries, you might start to enter tripod headstand. Placing one knee on top of each upper arm as you bring the feet to touch like crow pose. Stay here or contract your belly, bend your knees towards each other, towards your belly, then possibly unfold your legs straight up. Flexing or flointing, a combination of pointing and flexing your feet. You lift your inner heels, balls of your feet towards the sky. Tailbone reaches up, creating a vertical line. Whatever variation of your inversion, let's take 3 more deep breaths. As you observe the motivation for your actions, notice the effects. To come out, if you are in a full tripod headstand, you can either splay the legs apart, flex your feet and slowly lower into a wide-legged forward fold, or reverse the stages of coming in. Set your knees on your upper arms, then step your feet on the ground. Arriving in a wide-legged forward fold, come up halfway, lifting your chest, pause and breathe. Bend your knees a lot, bring your hands to your hips, pointing your elbows towards the sky. Lead with your chest and inhale, slowly rise up to stand. So we have opened the hips a bit, played with some balance already. Let's play a little more with an upright standing balance called Bird of Paradise. So you may want to grab your strap and we'll walk through the stages together. And as you tune into your own body, know that each stage is a buffet. You can choose to add to your plate or not. Feel into where you need to be. So start with your feet a little wider than hips distance, parallel. Hold the strap in your right hands, just in front of you to start. And then bend your knees, sink your weight towards your heels like a very wide-footed chair pose. Feel the belly lift towards the spine, gaze on the floor ahead, relax the shoulders, breathe. Now, swing your left arm behind you, so now the strap is like a monkey tail. Reach your right hand forward like your left hand forward, like you're about to shake my hand. I'm mirroring you. Then reach your left hand underneath your pelvis to catch the bottom end of the strap, walking your hands as close together to lean your left arm against your inner left thigh. As the knees are still bent, begin to use that leverage of left arm and left thigh pressing against each other to help you generate a twist of your torso to your right. Shoulders away from the neck, sink the hips a little deeper. Perhaps you stay here or you start to move towards the standing balance, or you slide your left foot closer to the right, putting all your weight onto your right foot. Right knee is bent too. Use the rooting down to rise. Belly engage, flex your left foot, and begin to nudge your left thigh as you raise your left leg and spine upright. Now, making sure that your hands are close together. You might even be clasping them or holding your right wrist. If your spine is completely upright, consider some degree of straightening your left leg, still flexing the foot. If you're doing that already, Consider adding the challenge of looking over your right shoulder for the last 3 breaths. Remember that the posture is not the destination itself. It's the process that we're in mentally and in observance of what's happening internally, just using the posture as a context. Any reactions in the mind as we start to come out of it, bend your left knee, slowly bend your right knee, begin to sweep the hips back to lower your left foot, come back to that wide-legged forward fold and release both arms. And just allow a moment. Notice any change in your breath throughout that process. Take your strap if you found it useful. Bring your hands to your hips and inhale, lift from your chest to rise. Step your feet a little wider than hips width, parallel. Hold the strap in your left hand. Bend your knees and draw your weight back towards your heels, firm your belly. Use the strap like a monkey tail behind you. Reach your right hand forward like you're about to shake my hand. Reach underneath for the bottom end of the strap. Lean your torso forward, draw your hips back. And then nudging your inner right thigh with your right arm, use those counter forces to help generate the twist to your left. You walk your hands closer together, maybe they clasp. Then begin to slide your right foot closer to your left, putting all your weight onto your left foot. Remember the rebound effect. Root down your left foot to rise up. Flex your right foot as you rise. And only when or if your spine is upright, consider some degree of straightening your right leg. And if that's happening, consider adding the challenge of focusing over your left shoulder with your eyes. Wherever you are, feel into your inner state. 3 more breaths. Reversing the stages, bend your right knee, bend your left knee, lean your hips back. Slowly lower your right foot, come to a wide stance, forward fold. Relax your head and arms, deep breaths, and just observe. Where is the mind through that physical process? Now that we're in a forward fold, please lower onto your hands and knees, facing the front edge of your mat. We've got one more little balancing pose to play with, since we were asked for something a bit more nostalgia or a bit more novelty. So, you know, crow pose on our hands, but there's also a baby crow on our forearms. So imagine you're about to come into dolphin, but your elbows are pretty close to your knees, as close as they can be. And now you plant your palms flat, make sure your elbows are exactly shoulders width apart. Feet are together as if you are in child's pose, but you're tucking the toes behind you. It's a nice stretch in the soles. Either you stay here, or you start to hollow your belly to lift your hips, lift your knees, come forward, and see if you can bring your knees high onto your upper arms towards your armpits. If you're pressing into your upper arms with your knees, your upper arms press back into your knees, gaze forward on the ground ahead of your fingertips, way forward, so that perhaps you're able to hollow your belly enough to lean forward and lift your toes off the floor. Baby crow, balancing on your forearms. It's a lot of contraction in the belly, rooting to rise from knees to upper arms, forearms on the floor. And then from here, we'll come into child's pose. Feet together. Now, if it feels okay in your body, bring your knees together for an optional rabbit pose. Rabbit, you bring the arms down by your sides. Thumbs are pointing to the outer edges of your mat. The rest of the fingers grab the inner edges of your heels. So you're holding your heels like baseballs. And then as you breathe in, you start to lengthen the lower back. Exhaling as you hollow the belly, you're going to lift your hips away from the floor so that the top of your head might meet the ground. But a little weight is actually on your head because you're using the counter forces of your hands, pulling your heels as your hips rise so that your legs carry most of your weight. You're rounding the back here. Sort of like that baby crow. Take one more deep breath if you are still in rabbit pose. And gently lower your pelvis, slide your arms forward, and slide your body forward to lie face down on the floor. Bring your arms down by your sides, palms face down to prepare for locust pose, beginning to counterbalance that rounding of the back. With your ankles no wider apart than your hips width, parallel your feet. And inhale, lift everything you can off the floor, counting your own 5 to 8 breaths. And as you roll the shoulders back, look slightly down to maintain the natural length of the back of your neck. You might opt to open your arms like wings, begin to turn the palms slightly face forward by rotating the shoulders back, or bring the arms overhead like you're holding a beach ball. Upper arms alongside the ears adds more rigor into the upper back. And when you decide you're ready to let it go, turn your head to one side and pigeon toe your feet, allowing for 3 deep breaths into your belly to just observe the effects of that. Now the next posture, our last back bend, is bow pose, Dhanurasana. Bring your knees as close together as you can, and if you're not able to grab your feet, you can do Shalabhasana, the posture we just did instead. Bend your feet, reach hold of your outer feet with your hands, and kick your legs towards straight as you pull your feet, using those counter forces to lift your knees high off the ground as you coil your chest up. Give yourself 5 to 10 breaths in this heart-opening, lung maximizing, or capacity of the lungs maximizing posture. Also opens up the front body and the thighs and hips, torso. Fronts of the shoulders. When you let it go, turn your head to the opposite side. And again, allow 3 deep belly breaths. Maybe this time you swing your shins lightly side to side, helping to loosen your lower back. Then set your hands on the ground alongside your floating ribs. Gently press up onto hands and knees so that you can sit with your legs in front of you. Preparing for a seated twist, extend your left leg forward. Either step your right foot in front of your hip or cross the foot outside of your left knee, in which you might also bend your left knee, making sure your 2 hips are grounded, spine is tall. And then backstroke your right hand behind your pelvis, raise your left arm up. Breathe in, feel space in your spine, exhale, twist to your right. Lower your left hand onto your shin, or add the leverage of hooking your elbow outside of your thigh. Breathe in, lengthen your spine some more. Breathe out, continue to twist. Keep relaxing your shoulders down. Open heart space. As you exhale, unwind your spine. And let's go to the second side, right leg forward. Step the left foot in front of your hip or outside of your right knee, in which you might also bend your right knee. Backstroke your left hand behind your pelvis, raise your right arm. As you breathe in, sit up taller. As you breathe out, twist to your left. Lowering your right hand on your shin or hooking your elbow outside of your thigh. Feel the guidance of your breath. With an exhalation, unwind your spine, bring the soles of your feet together, bend your knees wide apart for Baddha Konasana, opening the hips and lower back, forward folding. Breathe in, sit up tall. Breathe out, extend your heart forward as you bow. We started in a similar position in child's pose, grounding the heart close to the earth, bowing in, a physical gesture of introspection. From start to finish of your physical asana yoga practice, what have you noticed in the workings of your mind? What have you noticed about your intentions, your actions, and their effects? As you breathe in, lead with your chest and slowly lift your torso. Let's come all the way down to your back, sliding the legs apart and straight, setting your body up for complete rest. Allow one more deep inhalation, filling up from the soles of your feet to the top of your head, as though you could breathe through the whole physical space of your body. Hold the breath in for a few seconds. Maybe try to sip in a little more. Feel the blossoming of the chest. And very slowly through your lips, hear a whisper as you let it all go. Out to empty. Then release, holding that. Gift yourself full presence in these last few minutes. Lying here with your body. See what part wants to move first, easing into waking it up. Eventually, you might gather your knees into your chest. Turn gently to your right side. And slowly press the ground away, coming to sit. With eyes closed, attention inward. Feel the earth below you. as you allow a deeper breath in. Feel the openness of the sky above as you exhale through your lips again. Perhaps you join your palms to meet at your heart as you bow in. In the words of Jack Kornfield, with the law of karma, we have a choice in each new moment of what response our heart and mind will bring to the situation around us. In discovering the power of our inner states to determine our outer conditions, we are able to follow a path that can lead to genuine happiness and freedom. Let's close the practice with one Om. Take a deep breath. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.